All right, Derek, we're rolling. We're finally doing this.
All right.
Okay, well, welcome everybody to our first episode of Integration Insider, where we begin to unpack integration insights from within the Azure ecosystem.
Fun.
Yeah. Did that sound pretty good for the first one? Okay, we should probably introduce ourselves, eh?
I think that is the next step.
Yeah, that's a good next step. So I'm Tim Bieber. This is Derek Marley. Derek's our principal integration strategist. We're from Horton Cloud Integrations. We're a Microsoft business partner, and we are focused on Azure Integration Services. We do design, delivery, and managed services on AIS. So we're constantly doing these whiteboard sessions in our office, and I'm saying we should make these a video, or we should broadcast this out to the world. You've got 25 years of experience in systems integration. Instead of keeping this thing private on our whiteboard, let's broadcast it out to the world. Good idea. Here we are.
Yeah, nerve-wracking. But I see the value, Tim. I see us getting out there, sharing this information. It's stretching me socially, but I think the squeeze is worth the juice on this.
Okay, good. So far you're happy I drug you in here?
We'll see.
Okay, we'll see. Yeah. But what are we going to talk about this episode?
I call this one the iPaaS you didn't even know you had.
Okay.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of organizations, they think of the larger, like the TIBCOs, the MuleSofts, the Boomis of the world, because it's very specific. It's honed in on systems integration.
Yeah. If I think of an integration platform, it's MuleSoft.
Yeah,
that's Boomi.
And so we end up in a conversation with customers where we're helping them maybe make that decision for them. And what happens is we're the ones who kind of bring that light bulb moment where we say, why are you looking at these? If you're leveraging Azure already for servers and networks, why are you looking outside if Azure Integration Services exists? It's a set of services that are focused around systems integration. So why are we not using that? Why is that even in the conversation?
Yeah, obviously, us as a Microsoft business partner, we're heavy into the Microsoft enterprises. These enterprises have fully invested into Azure. It's interesting that we're often on calls,
right.
Client calls, prospecting calls, just calls introducing what AIS is.
Yeah.
And most people don't have an understanding or even a knowledge that Azure Integration Services exists under Azure. Well, it's actually understandable as well. I mean, underneath Azure, there's 200 plus products and services. So it's, it makes sense that people might not know that the 6 or 7 services that make up AIS are there, buried in the 200.
Yeah, maybe we should just unpack that a little.
Yeah. Good call.
Good
call. What is AIS?
Yeah. So AIS, I'm going to hit it quick. When I think about integration, I think about capability. So what is capability inside Azure Integration Services? Mainly, we talk about APIs, right? So we need API management. So Microsoft offers
most common these days.
Yeah, I mean it's the topic.
Yeah.
APIM, API management within Azure, offers up a full suite, a full capability around API management, caching layers, security, has it all. Then we talk about we need to orchestrate processes within our integrations. I need connectors. So what do I look for in there? I look at Logic Apps. Logic Apps is a low code. I can drag out onto my palette an integration flow. It's building my flow as I'm dragging out my components, a low code capability to do like orchestration. Next, we talk about like enterprise messaging. So I need pub, sub, I need subscriptions, I need the ability to send messages and durability patterns. So I think about Service Bus. Next, I talk about more complex orchestration. Maybe that's a little bit more difficult in Logic Apps. I want to do Azure Functions, and inside Logic Apps, you do inline functions. So functions are kind of like event-based pieces of code. And then lastly, I would think about capability-wise, I'd say, well, I have large data that needs to move within my environment, so I would look at ETL. So I'd look at data factory.
Sure. Yeah, okay. So, and you kind of unpacked broad strokes there, but I'll in the description below, I'll put links to those different services. So one thing that we're often asked is, I have MuleSoft or I have Boomi. specifically, we do a lot of MuleSoft work doing migrations, MuleSoft to AIS.
Yeah.
Before anybody goes down that road, they say, yes, I procured this integration platform. I want to make sure that AIS has the capabilities that I have enjoyed with MuleSoft, or that I understand apples to apples, that it at least has the same capabilities. Maybe kind of give us a walkthrough, given your knowledge of MuleSoft.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting conversation. Like when I look at, let's just use MuleSoft, but they're all similar. I mean, they're focused on integration, so they offer the same tools. When I think about what I started off with, APIM, API management, MuleSoft offers up API management. Theirs is a little different in that inside my enterprise, it really does just sit in front of MuleSoft. I can't really leverage it beyond that. So I think that's a capability that I struggle with. In addition to that, it's a wrapper around AWS API management.
Right.
So they've taken what they think is the key components that they need for MuleSoft, and they kind of use that as the tool. So it's kind of like you're dumbing down API management to give you only a little bit of the features. Whereas you look at Azure Integration Services and APIM, it's kind of giving the full breadth,
right? What
you need and what you want in your enterprise. So to me, I look at that. When I think about data flows, I have to learn, data weave as an example inside my data flows inside MuleSoft. Well, I don't like that.
Which is a very complicated proprietary language.
That's a functional language. You have to kind of change how you think about it.
Sure.
It's hard to have two people, one person writes it and the other person has to read it. It's difficult to share that knowledge at times. In the Logic app, to me, solves that problem. It's low code. I can leverage my C# developers, my Java developers, polyglot if I like Python as my language, but it's language, right? Versus a functional proprietary language that I'm not a big fan of. So when I think about things like MuleSoft and TIBCO and Boomi, they all service the same things. We need systems integration. Those, when I listed all the services within Azure, they do it as well. But Microsoft kind of is providing you kind of a richer set of tools, if you will, right?
Right. So when I think when people just sort of look at it from a 30,000-foot view, they might say MuleSoft or Boomi or TIBCO or Ocado. It's an integration platform. I need middleware. Sure. I need an integration platform. That's how they're marketed. That's what they are. But when you break them apart, they've got a number of different services that make them up. They just don't necessarily market it that way, and you have to license the whole thing. So maybe that's actually a good thing to talk about. So there's because we often bring up the cost.
Yeah.
So there's the licensing versus the subscription. So out of these 200 services and products that are within Azure, you've already got the subscription.
Yeah, that's right.
To AIS versus having to license something that we know is in order of magnitude $200,000 to $250,000 up front annually every year. Another $250,000.
And think of it this way too, Tim. It's more like not all integrations are the same. I don't have to always think I'm building out enterprise integrations all the time. It's like I need to automate some business process, and it's a smaller implementation. That's where it's beautiful. I can take a Logic app. I can deploy a Logic app that moves a file from this location and maybe loads a database with the file. I don't have to think beyond that. It's simple. I only used a Logic app. I deployed a Logic app. It's doing what it needs to do. Now think about that in the context of trying to procure a Boomi or a TIBCO. Like there's a lot that has to go on to make that capability. Right?
I just wanted to do something small.
Yeah. And now
I didn't want to license. I didn't want to license for hundreds of thousands of dollars every year, and those are also on long-term contracts too.
Yeah.
So you're locked in.
Yeah. Whereas in this model, what I love about the Azure Integration Services is I take what I need and I use that. So if I'm looking just to automate something quick, I need to move a file, load a database, or I really need enterprise integration, it's all there. And it's all about, again, I talk about pay as you grow, right? You're only paying for what you utilize. You're not having to do a large CapEx. So I think it fits. Yeah,
which we know. I mean, we've wrapped up a recent project. We know roughly, I mean, we're not going to name names and exact numbers, but we know based on that migration from MuleSoft over to AIS, we know that it was about a 1/10 of the cost, which is, I mean, that's a giant disparity.
Yeah.
A 1/10 of the cost to do the same integrations on AIS. And that's extremely compelling to me.
Right. And that's only one part of the ROI, right? Like when I think about that's that's true. That's just paying for the services. But when oftentimes we'll go into an organization, and it's alignment. Those organizations are looking for, like, it's hard to own a platform, say like MuleSoft, because I have to look at getting MuleSoft developers. Right. They've got to learn data weave. They got to learn the MuleSoft capabilities, and really they evangelize that. They have to really go to those conferences, and they have to really get good at it. But what it does in the environment is, I have my app developers who know C# and they're deploying within the Azure ecosystem, and now they have to talk to the MuleSoft team. Well, why not have the same team? So what I really like about Azure Integration Services is, as I mentioned, it's polyglot. So if I have a team of Java developers, they can, and they're building my web applications or my mobile applications, they can also build these systems integrations, right? And the APIs that back those applications.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's big.
Yeah. So I think we sort of teased out the services that make up AIS, the capabilities of how they stand out head to head against, let's say, a MuleSoft, the licensing, subscription, the cost. Massive cost difference. Capabilities are the same. The cost is lower. The added benefits, like you want to use storage.
Yeah.
You want to use.
Yeah, it is completeness, right?
Yeah.
So when I look at building an integration, I've been, like you said at the beginning, I've been in the MuleSoft ecosystem for many years, and so when you would look at solutioning that, oftentimes, Tim, you would end up looking at, well, I need a database. I need to stage this database, and database is the right choice for this pattern. I'm stepping out anyway, and I'm looking at AWS. I'm looking at Azure. So even inside the Azure space, that if I need storage, I got all kinds of storage options. I got table storage, I got blob storage, I got SQL database, I got non-structured databases. So when you think of it that way, it's Azure Integration Services, like we mentioned, 5 to 6 core services, but really we have access to all 200, right? So if I want to start weaving in a RAG model around AI in my integration, that's available to me. If I want to use Sentinel for, security and detection, it's available to me. I don't have to go procure that with another vendor.
Sure.
So to me, as an architect, I look at that as saying I have a complete suite outside of just Azure Integration.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. So a much more complete system and a holistic view. Yeah. I like it. Okay. Is there anything else we missed?
I think we touched on team. Let's
chat about that. Yeah.
So organizations obviously these days are looking to simplify.
Yeah.
And it's everything from their systems and now integration. But one of the things that we have to hit is the team.
Right.
So when we think about procuring platforms like a MuleSoft TIBCO, those are specialties, right?
Yeah.
So how can we bring down that barrier of entry, right? So can I get the same developers building my mobile applications, my web applications, also building my integrations? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Like if in our organization we like C# and we like Python, then that's the same tools that we're going to use to build those integrations in Azure.
Yeah.
So I think it's powerful.
Yeah, that's good. Yes, it's simplifying what the team can do. The team can double up duties.
Yeah, go to conferences together and kind of evangelize around the technology together and build better solutions in the end.
Yeah, and the organization's familiar with Azure.
You got it.
Whereas bringing in another platform, they're just not familiar with that proprietary language.
Yeah,
that's cool. Okay, well, I think in the interest of time, and really the idea here was to
keep them short,
bang these out for an audience to keep them short, digestible.
Yeah.
That's probably it.
Yeah,
Nothing else? Yeah, let's cut it. Okay.
Let's go back to work.
Okay, let's go back to work. All right, well.